Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Bullish or Bearish. My name is Tony Chu. I'm from Success Options Group, and I'm here with my sister Anja, who you'll see in a short bit. And we're bringing you another episode where we hit upon those financial topics that you've been wondering about, that you want to know more about.
So really, it's about talking about both sides of the story so you can actually kind of get an idea and make a better decision for yourself, whether it's right for you. So what exactly are we talking about today? Well, what we're talking about today is all of those kind of different stock trading apps and like mobile platforms that you've heard. There are so many of them out there. And I mean, that brings me to the first thing is that there are so many out there that you have a multitude of choices. It's about finding, like, you'll be able to find like the best platform that works the way you like to work, like, because everybody thinks differently. And so it's about looking through the platforms and you can find one that fits the way that you think, that has a setup that you're comfortable with. I mean, it's about being able to choose one that's right for you.
So I will admit that it's nice to have choices, right? So, if you look back at some of the way we used to do trading stocks and options, like some of those sites were really old and they really sucked, right? The downside that you're talking about, though, is that there are so many choices. So you have all these different apps, right? And each one is just slightly different. I mean, so you do need to know the basics of what you're trying to do. So, and not all of them really come with any kind of education either.
Yes, but that's actually just part of something else, like the education of knowing how to stock trade. The apps itself are really useful because a lot of them allow a lower entry point. So you don't need to have as much capital to just get started. Plus, even some of them allow you to do things like partial trading, like where you can just buy parts of a stock by like adding it onto rounding off your credit card bill and stuff. So there are a lot of like interesting different ways, like new ways for you to get into the stock market, that were not available in the old times.
You say interesting. I say, well, fractionalized trading. What is 0.1 share of Amazon? Like, really, what do I really own that share, or is it just like in a book somewhere where somebody's just kind of doing funny business here in the back rooms, right? I guess that's one of my main issues with those apps is that they don't necessarily explain all of this, right? It's like, oh yeah, you can buy 0.1 share of Amazon. It's like, okay, does that mean I can vote on 0.1 share? No, not necessarily. So that's one of the biggest issues I have with these new interesting ideas that they've created.
Okay, so I will admit that these interesting ideas are very interesting, but maybe not like completely fleshed out, and you'd have to do a lot more of your own research about it. But just as like, even if you just pick a stock trading app that's, just on your phone, like one that you just fully buy the share, not these fractional ones. The ability of these mobile apps is to give you the ability to look at your stocks, do your trading pretty much anywhere. I mean, all of us take our cell phones everywhere. So that means everywhere you go with your cell phone that has internet access, you can be doing your trading. You can be checking your trading. You have access to it pretty much 24/7. And I mean, that kind of accessibility is like really nice.
So that is a good point. I admit that I have all sorts of alerts set up, right? So whenever my stock target hits, like it hits a certain price and I want to get out of my trade, it notifies me. It's like, oh, okay, I can get out, right? I mean, in some of our classes, we talk about how to automate the exits as well. But as we all know, that it doesn't always execute in the right timing. So sometimes having those notifications help. I mean, the downside of these apps, though, is you mentioned that they were free. And like a lot of talk is about commission-free trading, where like $0 in order to trade stocks. And this, when you dig down through the layers, is more of a thing where we don't realize what's going on in the background. So, a lot of us have used Facebook or we've used Google. And the thing is, like, all these services are free, right? It's like I can use Facebook and I can socialize with people for free. This is awesome. The downside of this is, well, if you're not the customer, then you're the product. This is a famous saying, or it's a saying that I've heard. It's like, well, that's true, right? So if I'm not paying for it, then am I the product? Are they selling my data, or are they doing something else behind the scenes that might be impacting what I'm trying to invest in?
Okay, well, the thing is that this zero free commission thing is pretty much spread across almost every single like investment firm out there. I mean, even your like phone call brokers are doing zero, zero commission trading. So that is actually pretty like standardized now among the industry. So that I don't really see that as something unique to, mobile trading apps, like or your mobile apps or those kind of online platforms. What I do see is that these platforms are giving us the ability to, do what we want to do where we want to do it. So it's kind of like there's the freedom to make more choices and the freedom to like manage things when it's convenient for us, not having to like stick to the, calling the broker, they're only in the office from 9 to 5, I actually get through. I mean, so much of this has become online that you can, use a chat room and automatically get somebody like quickly, to ask your questions. I mean, the availability is just there.
Yeah. So it's convenient, right? And I think the big issue, and we'll probably have another session about this, is why is it free, right? So how are they making money, right? And this gets into like payment for order flow. And if you want to learn more about that we have workshops. We'll probably do another session and another episode in the future on it. But like, it depends on your broker too, right? And we're actually reaching about the 1-year anniversary of one of the biggest stories ever, GameStop, right? And GameStop, when the brokers, some of these online apps like Robinhood and other ones shut off the buy button, right? This app said you as an investor cannot buy, you could only sell. And guess what? The stock tanked, right? So this gets into like, with the proliferation of all these different apps and brokerages, and there is a certain amount where you have to figure out who you can trust in this arena, right? You can't, it's not like, not everybody has the backing. Not everybody is going to have your best interest at heart.
But you know what you're talking about is true for all places that you do stock trading. And that's really why we emphasize, going to a workshop or getting some education or coming in and doing one of our programs, because it's actually not about like what you're using to do your trading, but whether you have the knowledge to do trading that's right for you. So it's not as much about how you do it, but like having the ability and to do it yourself and the knowledge to do it yourself.
I will say that like knowledge will help, right? You still do have some conflicts of interest. So this is that payment for order flow, right? So you put in a trade, it doesn't necessarily hit the lit market, right? It might go to the back, the shadow pools, the dark pools kind of concept. And these are longer kind of conversations, right? There is something to say about like companies like Fidelity, some other ones that have trillions in assets, right? It's like, okay, it's not necessarily, and the ones that didn't shut off the buy button, that's the biggest way I know it, right?
Yes, but all of that stuff really comes down to doing your due diligence. I mean, yes, these, like I'm talking about these mobile apps, they're great for convenience, being able to do it everywhere, anywhere you want. But that doesn't relieve you of the responsibility to do your due diligence to make sure that this app is an appropriate, good app that you want to be using. So just because it's there doesn't mean that all of them are the same. You still have to do your own research and decide, okay, now this is the app. I trust in this company. I believe that this company is doing what I want it to do. And that's why I'm choosing it, not just for the convenience and its accessibility, but because this is also a good app. And this one works with the way I like to work. So you can't just say, well, any app is the same and like assume that they're all, okay. You still have to do your own due diligence, your own research. So, you can't just like shrug off any responsibility at all. You have to take responsibility for your own choices too.
And I will admit, like I use certain apps because they have a really good interface and they have good tools and they make it like the notification system makes it really easy to kind of keep track of my trades. I might put like $100, couple $100 in, just so I can use their tools. And I might have most of my trade in another platform, and that's something, we definitely encourage. We're big Thinkorswim fans, but some of the Webull apps are really good. So it's you got to find what works for you so you can get the kind of information you need and make the decisions in the right kind of time frame that you're looking for.
So everybody, hit the like, hit the subscribe, and really come back for next time, or join one of our workshops, because really there's so much out there that you can learn about.